up, everyone? It's me, your host, Rocky. I'm here again for episode 6 of the When Memes Become Dreams and Overwatch podcast. Today we have our co-host, as always. Say hello, co-host.
How's it going, everyone?
And then we have a guest who's been on the last 3 podcasts, or the last 2, and this one, Franz Jaeger.
Howdy, howdy.
Nice. Alright, so today we have like 3 topics again. I guess this is going to be the format for the podcast in the future, which it could be worse, you know? It's not that bad. And we're going to be starting off with esports again, with a lot of topics, a lot of different esports things to talk about, a lot of things that happened. Most news for a couple of months, actually. Pretty insane, pretty nutty. And, yeah.
It's a good week for esports fans, I think.
It's a pretty good week. So, let's go ahead and start off with Overwatch League. Just a recap of the last couple weeks of Overwatch League. It's been pretty nutty, you know? You got good games, good
bad games, mostly by Dallas Fuel.
Yeah, they had a couple bad games as well, but you know, bad games happen. Bad games happen all the time. Yeah, bad games they just happen. They just have to happen, and they happen. But anyway, is there anything else with Overwatch League or?
I mean, honestly, like Seoul lost to both of the other Korean teams, which I think is pretty notable because it kind of just shows like that the tier 1 wasn't so solid as people thought maybe 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Other than that, I mean, Boston 4-0'd Valiant, which, if I recall earlier today, you had said wasn't going to happen, Rocky.
Okay, listen. I'm glad it happened, but I didn't know it was going to happen. Dude, listen.
Backtracking to earlier today, I literally just messaged you saying Boston or Valiant. You were like Valiant, and I was like, no, Boston's got this. And you know,
listen, I wasn't in a good state of mind. All right, like if you approached me at a good time, I would have given you the right answer, but I wasn't in the right state of mind.
But yeah, on like another thing to note. I mean, you know, like as bad as Dallas did today, in terms of like play errors and like just potentially better like composition choices. They did take a map off New York, which just goes to show at least like they're still trying and they're still probably going to be a competing team. So like, I mean, it's still going to be something to watch in stage 2.
Yeah, I think they got pretty close to taking 2 maps even. It was.
Sorry, Franz?
I think this week has kind of just been showing that the tier 1, you know, the top 3 Korean teams are not so separated, but then also the mid-tier teams. There are many more, like, kind of define that whole mid-section, and then also, like, they're pretty close to, you know, your tier 1 teams, but, I mean...
I think it highlights, like, a lot of the depth that Overwatch has as a game.
Yeah, there's a lot of variety.
And, like, the change in meta for Stage 2 is gonna, like...
Yeah.
Probably highlight a lot more...
it's gonna be a really bad meta, but, you know, that's great.
I mean...
Speaking of the meta,
Florida's going to do okay. Like, you know,
that,
they're going to have 3 tank players now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Zappos is going to be PogChamp for Mayhem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Zappos pickup, I saw it coming. I called it a couple days before it was revealed.
You actually did, honestly.
Yeah,
like I can attest to that.
Yeah, it's not a surprise at all, but I think it'll be a good pickup. I mean,
I don't think you said they are going to pick it up. I think you just said they should pick them up.
Yeah.
I think it really does help them, though.
Mostly for the Zarya. I don't know about how good his D.Va is. If I remember, it's like mid-tier, but not like one of his signature characters. And Maniton, like, Maniton's
I don't
better
think
than
Maniton's like, yeah, Maniton's not the problem with that team right now, and you can clearly tell like he's usually one of their like strongest players, probably next to Logic's, maybe their second strongest player.
Well, Tvik.
But then again, you know, Tvik's really good. Like
he's in the better half of the team, at least.
I think you're kind of just securing if the meta does go to a triple tank, quad tank style of meta, then you actually have, you know, 3 tank players now.
Yeah, that's
counts Swoosh as a tank
from
player.
What I've seen so far, it's not the kind of meta where you're gonna run quad tank or triple tank on every map. It's just that it works on about half of the maps, half of the situations.
Yeah.
In scrims.
But you'll have that flexibility now, whereas before, I don't know if we've ever seen Tvik or
like 2 TP and Koth, where they're just going to be like, we're going to run Logics and these 3.
Yeah, I don't know if we've ever seen Logic or Tvik on tanks before, so we're not sure if we had that flexibility before.
But like most DPS players in the league, I'm sure they could flex. It's nice to have that consistent like high tier third, especially like considering it's usually going to be like a main tank and 2 off tanks. Having that like top tier Zarya play, that's going to help a lot. But
and then we can talk about AKM for Dallas, and this is another one that I don't know. I considered in my head. It's not something that I never expected. It's just it seems it was kind of unexpected because they already have Taimu, and a month or two ago I would have said they don't need AKM when you have Taimu, but now it's like maybe you do. Their hero pools are like slightly different, and then Taimu with his inconsistency, and it's like, you know.
I think like the biggest problem with Dallas Fuel right now, at least with Taimu, I mean, having that like burden of like not performing every time you need to perform, it's not only like hurting the team, but it's like hurting his ego in such a way that like he's taking the losses personally, and like you can see that with the tweet that you posted earlier in esports news. I mean, like that's a feels bad, man. Like, you know, it's a lot to be a part of a team.
Supposed to be the premier hit scam player, Mr. Good Aim and can aim. So it's been rough for him.
No, it hasn't been the easiest time in the world. And like, you know, he's playing along like arguably one of the best, if not the best DPS player in Overwatch League, and like some of the best like tank players, and like I mean, Chips is probably one of the best like non-Asian like Ana players, and going into like this meta like that we're gonna see coming. I mean, his Roadhog, I mean, could see like, you know, maybe he'll boost his confidence by just like one tricking Roadhog for the team. But you also see like Mickey getting good as well. But
yeah,
I mean, at least AKM, if he's not going to be a Taimu replacement, like he's at least going to be like there for those times that Taimu can sit down and say like, look guys, I can't do this tonight.
A consistent hit scan presence.
The thing is, you have to lock in rosters a week before. And AKM said he's grinding the Genji. His Pharaoh was insane at the World Cup, and we already know that his Soldier and McCree are very good. So I feel like you can just start him, honestly.
There's no but I mean, you consider AKM. Like, yeah, but like, I mean, you can run like Effect and AKM, but at that point, like, if those are the hero pools that we're looking at, why have Seagull or Taimu? Ever?
Yeah, pretty much. But to be fair, they picked up Seagull and Taimu.
So you can play Seagrat.
Before they picked up AKM, they were like, listen, this is a good way to go. And then, like C9 Jack once did, you just go the other direction, and you pick up a good player. Like C9 Jack, you know, he's gonna make an EU team for Overwatch League, and then he's like, you know, it's not gonna do very well, so he just picks up 2 Korean teams, who are the best in the world, and that's basically what they're doing now, I think.
I think that disappointed a lot of people, but yeah, I mean, honestly, it does seem like that's what Dallas is doing. I mean, they obviously want to win more than they want like the core MBS roster to perform. So I mean, like, as much as like Kai can try and like coach them better and like try and re-energize that synergy, like they said in their premiere video that came out this week, like, I mean, how easy is that to do, you know? Like, when you have like some of your players like XQC and Taimu consistently like breaking down and like not performing the way that they're supposed to perform. So yeah, pick up AKM, run a solid roster, get like AKM in Effect, and I don't know, Coco, Chips.
I think even their tanks are weak right now because you have Coco and Mickey. Coco is a good main tank, but there's many better main tanks in the league. And then Mickey is pretty much a diva one trick. His Hog is getting better, but his Zarya isn't there. And I mean, they haven't had to play Zarya, so it's not a big deal. But I don't know. I just think they have a weaker.
Yeah, they've been able to get away with it.
Yeah, XQC is. You're not even putting XQC into the picture because it's banned right now. So.
Well, his ban ends this week. Like, he can actually play next week. That's another thing.
Sure? I'm pretty. Didn't it go until stage 2?
I thought it was for the rest of stage 1.
Pretty sure.
I thought it was for the rest of stage 1 too, but 2 nights ago on stream, he said that it was he only has 2 games left. Now, I don't think that they're gonna play him. I think that the team is not going to play him for the rest of stage 1, but his like game ban from Overwatch League is up this week.
All right,
so
that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't scrimmed with the team in 2-3 weeks. So
yeah, they're probably just gonna wait till stage 2. I don't see them ever running him.
I mean, you consider that, but like also consider the fact that they've been running like Orisa and Ryan because like Coco's Winston is just kind of like not consistent, and like maybe if they get a couple of good results on their scrims this week, because next week who are they playing? I didn't check this yet, but they're playing Gladiators, which I mean arguably should be a relatively easy matchup.
In Shanghai.
No,
in Shanghai.
definitely not. Gladiators versus Dallas is not an easy matchup. They could easily lose
Yeah,
There's
they could
a chance
easily
they
lose that.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
pretty good chance they lose it, but still, I mean, at the end of the
They
day,
should
like,
beat the Shanghai Dragons. Hopefully.
if they lose, that'll
That'll be Shanghai's first win.
Yeah,
And that would be that'd be among us, honestly.
That would be a Monka shake.
Yeah, that'd be pretty bad.
but on other signing news, I mean, Shanghai picked up 4 new players. You said 4 new players.
Three.
Yeah.
Three. I don't think this is 100% confirmed. Is it
But
Feng
it's
Jun?
like rumored that there's 3 new players for Shanghai.
Yeah. Best flex
And-
support in China is Feng Jun, and then some projectile player and an off tank player, or main tank player.
Yeah.
One of the two. I don't know.
That
I
could
feel like a main tank could benefit them a lot right now.
Yeah, Roshan isn't actually that bad. He's pretty bad, but
Yeah,
I don't think
Yeah,
he's
he's
their
not great.
weakest
I think
player. I think
it's
the
a-
support is the weakest part of the team right now.
it's a combination of a lot of things that just makes him look terrible.
it feels like their roster has no synergy. Like, I feel like a lot of the players on their roster could be performing significantly better, but like their play styles don't match. Like, you have Roshan, who's like just consistently like way more aggressive than some of the other players, and like you have like Dia and Undead just trying to like piece everything together and like, you know, try
Just
to
frag
regulate
out.
the aggression and frag out, but like it's so far hasn't really like given them anything. So yeah, I mean, that'll be interesting to see with some new players on their roster, like whether or not they'll actually perform a little better. It's also going to be interesting to see like who else gets signed to like some of these other teams, because I can't imagine a whole lot of teams like right now are overly concerned about like adding to their roster.
Yeah, it's still fairly early in the season.
hmm And I mean, like, are they going to be doing signings like this between every stage?
No. I think this
that's
is the only
another
time.
question.
I think this is the only time they're doing it. If they did it
Hmm.
between every stage, that'd be interesting. I guess.
Yeah.
By that
It'd
time,
be-
the
it'd be
academy teams will
hard.
be going, and they might actually pick people up from the academy teams if they did that.
Yeah, I think it'd be
Yeah.
kind of hard to, because the meta is going to be changing, and how do you know? I mean, you don't know when it's going to change either. So you could be looking at like we're set for this meta, but what about the next meta? So like, you have to make sure your roster will transfer well into
Yeah.
the next meta.
Because inevitably within the next month and a half, we're going to see Hero 27. We're going to see, you know, like a plethora of like revisions and nerfs and reworks, because like we hear about like the rumored Hanzo rework, we hear about the like we're looking at Symmetra in May. I mean, don't get me wrong, like some of those we probably will just not see in Overwatch League.
Yeah.
They could do like a whole hell of a lot with Symmetra, but they're either going to shatter her and we're going to see her all the time, or they're going to like adjust her a little bit and
I mean, at this point, they could totally make her a must pick in Overwatch League. I could see that happening. They could actually do it. I believe they would.
Yeah,
do
it's the only person not played yet. So
Yeah, that's probably what. I don't know. It's actually possible. Junkrat
if they want to
wasn't
just
played like
showcase-
ever. I remember the time when if its pro team played Junkrat, it was like, wow, they played Junkrat.
these
they're
guys are
actually
not good.
throwing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but now it's like, you play Junkrat. If you're Houston, you always play Junkrat, and you know, they might do that with Symmetra. You never know. It could be that bad.
Oh man, like Jake can be a Symmetra one trick.
Great. Yeah, I
Would
mean,
you look at that?
yeah. I think on one hand that'd be really interesting, on the other hand it would be terrible, and you know.
Let's just hope that it doesn't happen, because like as
Yeah,
much as I
let's
want to play
definitely hope
Symmetra
so.
a little bit once in a while, I don't. So
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, same.
let's just put that on the back burner.
Yeah, really. I mean, that's. I think we can move on to tier 2 now, with
Yeah.
new contenders logo. Look at that. Let's just talk about that for a second. It's actually on the thumbnail for the stream. It's
I mean,
it's pretty good.
like clearly they're going for a trend here, you know, and it's a nice logo, you know. I like the green. I like the Genji. I like.
It's a good logo. I didn't
Yeah.
expect it. Good job, Blizzard. And then we actually have the new Envision roster, which is kind of a big deal because Envision was one of those teams that.
Captured the hearts of the people.
Yeah, that is the way. Yeah. That's how I would describe it as well. So I'm just gonna describe the roster. They kept Fire from the old roster. They added Crimzo as other support, which Crimzo I think is like a ladder star right now. He's apparently the #1 ranked support in some trash stat site, and he's not the #1 support player in the world. Let's be real. He's not at that level. But
he's from like somewheres in Canada.
Yeah, he's Canadian. That's great.
Isn't he? No, he wasn't on Toronto Esports, but he's Canadian.
Monk Shake. Wasn't he on like Congarno? I feel like he was on Congarno for a second, but I don't know. Anyway,
but
then they have for tanks.
Dropped like 2 players at some point.
Yeah, for tanks they have iShiny as their main tank. I don't remember who their other main tank was. Yeah, they had like
McGravy.
Shane and Numlocked, and they've had a bunch of people on main tank. And then they have McGravy on flex tank, off tank. It's off tank, but people call it flex at the Overwatch League staff. And, well, I don't know. And then for DPS they kept Jaru, which is a good choice. Jaru's a god. And then Buds, which Buds was the only one from FNGFE that wasn't picked up for Overwatch League, mostly because he leaked the roster. And
yeah, I can still taste his salt from here.
Yeah, really though.
Oh, dude.
And I think
feels bad.
I feel like Buds is more of a projectile player, and Jaru's obviously a Genji player mostly. So it's kind of, I don't know. Buds can play some hit scan. Buds' Widow was like once considered like top 5 in the world.
Yeah,
so
Jaru took over the Tracer role at the end of Contenders, I believe.
Did he? I don't remember that.
Yeah, McGravy, I don't think was feeling this confident on it, and he's a good diva. But
I think that was after Contenders. I think they experimented.
Was it after Contenders?
Yeah, I'm pretty
sure. I do remember
Jaru
taking over the Tracer role there for a bit, though.
Yeah, maybe Jaru isn't a Genji player anymore. I hope he is, though, because he was, like, arguably at similar levels to, like, Agility is close-ish. And
yeah, Jaru's a guard.
Yeah, and especially during, like, the Doomfist, when Doomfist was OP, he was a really good Doomfist as well.
Yeah.
And then moving on, we have the first Academy team revealed. Philadelphia Fusion went ahead and like did a roster reveal video. And this is like, I don't know, some of these picks make a lot of sense, and some don't. But, I don't know, overall I think it's a solid roster. For supports, they have Elk and Alarm. Alarm was on Lunatic High after they got rid of their main roster and brought in the Lunatic High 2 squad. And then Elk. And Elk, I actually don't know a lot about Elk, but he was in Heroes Rumble. And he's been on, he was on Evil Geniuses, so he hasn't been in a lot of stuff. He was on Eastwind apparently for a little bit, and you know, he's actually pretty high up on the ladder. I played against him a couple days ago. Pretty good player. And then for tanks they have Kraken Lekin and Beast Halo, and
shut up.
Beast Halo comes from Tempo Storm, I believe, and some other teams. I don't know. He's a good ladder player. He's just a good player. Then they have Zachary, Who Are You, and Zerg on DPS. And each of these players comes from a different area. Who Are You comes from the main Lunatic High roster, and he's like arguably the best Genji in the world. I mean,
Zerg arguably more of like a streamer.
Yeah, he's
ladder.
In that borderline where he's not just like a pro player and he's not just a streamer. But I remember initially like when he made his like debut, like when people started talking about Zerg, it was mostly because like he outwitted Kefri, and that was a big deal.
Kefri, and everybody was like, oh no, like this kid is hacking, and like, you know, clearly like that was proven otherwise. And then he got upset. There was like this outcry where he just didn't want to be identified as a Widow one trick. So since then he's done nothing but grind like Tracer, McCree, Soldier, and other hit scan heroes. And now you look at his career profile on Overbuff, and like his hours and his games played, like Widow is not his most played hero at all anymore. So it's just,
I don't know. I still think he's not at the same level. I don't know why you wouldn't run Who Are You and Zachary the entire.
I think
pretty much.
I mean,
I think that they just thought this guy's young. He might turn out to be a very good player. So let's just pick him up and see what happens. And then we should get 2 actual
potential.
DPS. Yeah, pretty much. And they have 2 actual DPS players in case he doesn't work out.
And the other day,
that reveal.
Zachary was #1 Tracer on Overbuff.
Oh.
At some point.
Like a shake.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean anything at all.
Honestly. It doesn't mean a whole lot, but I mean, He's been grinding Tracer a lot, so I think
Yeah.
he'll probably be the Tracer player.
Yeah, definitely. I think you can just in a dive meta, which isn't going to happen. You could just do Who Are You and Zachary on.
Yeah, and I was
Yes,
wondering,
boys.
since their first game is tomorrow.
Oh, it is. Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, beat
Pog
starts tomorrow.
Yep.
Or does Who Are You play from Korea? Because surely he's not in America yet.
I guess he'll be playing from Korea. An alarm
I mean,
too, right? Both of them.
that remains to be seen, but like it's possible, I guess, that they flew him out here. I mean,
Yeah, maybe
technically, it's not like a normal contenders team with like no money. You know, this is like a Philadelphia Fusion.
put in 20 million to get in.
Yeah, like clearly they care about like having that level of representation on the pro scene to, you know, throw money on plane tickets. So I mean, he might be playing from America, or maybe he's
That
not
would
playing.
be-
Maybe
I really
they're just
doubt
running
it.
Zerg.
Maybe they run Zerg. I don't know.
Oh, that's a monk ass. That's I don't know.
Zachary
I'd like
can
to
play
see it
Genji
though.
too, so that's what he played for Renegades. So
That's true.
completely.
Yeah, sorry, Widow is his most played hero, but still not by much.
Yeah, so then we were talking about B. B actually has a lot of the open division teams that might be in contenders.
Oh, yes. I also saw Kaiser is playing on a team.
Oh, like
For B.
an academy team? Oh no, for B.
Not an academy team, unfortunately. But
Okay.
it was like Chicken. Is it called?
Chicken Ranch Pizza. Let's go.
Yes, Chicken Ranch Pizza.
And then there's no clout. Wait a minute, no clout? Oh, okay. You guys want to hear a funny story? No clout. My new team. We wanted to try Academy Gaming. The first team we played against was no clout, and they're gonna be playing in Beat. Can I get a Pog champ in chat? Yes, we actually played against these guys. Like this roster right here, I'm looking at it. That is the same roster we played against. And you know, I can say
Yeah,
from experience, they're a pretty good team. But the fact, I don't know, they're good. They have Little Menace. Little Menace
You
is a
guys
bot.
did relatively okay with you guys, like with them, honestly. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't like an entire loss. Like you weren't like they didn't run you through the mud, which says a lot considering like most of the people on your team aren't even GM.
Yeah, Paintbrush is really good. Little Menace is a Mercy one trick. I don't see how they have any chance in metas that aren't Mercy centralized, and I think they're going to be playing on the new patch, so I don't know.
Yeah, they should be.
And then Voil is a good
I'm
DPS. Hobbs is a good DPS. Hypnot and Hawk are on off tank and main tank. So yeah, and Chicken Ranch Pizza is actually like such a random team. Like
I'm interested in Vol and Gray play.
yeah, I mean like Sharp is pretty good. But
It's a team that's playing in this.
yeah,
tournament.
honestly, that is not
Yeah.
gonna. That team is not gonna stick around. I guarantee you that team will just be like splitting up for academy teams and whatnot.
Probably, yeah.
And then the Savages is a pretty bad team. LCG Overwatch is a pretty bad team, and they're all like, I don't know, they're good. Like No Clout, the Savages, and LCG Overwatch are all in the same kind of category of teams.
Tier
that-
4.
Nah, they're tier 3, but you know, tier 2 maybe. I don't know. I guess this makes them tier 2 in this tournament if they do well. But I don't
I
see
think-
a world where Fusion doesn't just roll everyone and win the entire thing easy.
Well, there's Kangarna and Vision as well, so you have to.
Yeah,
I think
but
those are the only other two that are.
I doubt those teams. I feel like Fusion University could actually be an Overwatch League team and do like fine-ish.
Ish, maybe.
Ish. Like they could beat Shanghai maybe. You know, like you know what I mean?
Garnet probably couldn't be an Overwatch League team though.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
excited
of the
that
players
it's a
could
double
be.
elimination. Too, because your fourth match of the day is Kangarna versus Envision. So you have like pretty much two of the top 3 teams, you would guess, facing off in the first day of matches.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting side event. I mean,
I want to
it's a
see
little bit
No
of a break
Cloud
from
play in
Overwatch
an
League.
actual tournament. Personally, I just want to see if they have any chance in that scenario when they're not playing, you know, a mid-master team. Maybe they'll actually lose. Maybe we'll see. No hate. I love them, obviously. Like no hate, guys. Overwatch League mid-season pickups, I feel like already had a roster, but it's not showing on Wikipedia. So, you know, that's happening. It's starting tomorrow. It's gonna be pretty hype. Give me another Pog champ in chat. Moving on, we have Pitt. Like, Pitt same thing. Tier 2 tournament at EU. I almost said NA, but we're good. Started a week or two ago. I think they're playing on the new patch now.
Yeah, they have been.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. You got
It's been very interesting to see.
some good teams, some bad teams. Eagle Gaming overrated. Have they even played their good roster? Because I feel like they have 12 players, correct? And
They do.
yeah,
They
and
beat Orga
half of their players are
Hungary.
good, and half of
They
their players
2-0'd.
aren't good.
They 2-0'd Orga.
Wait, they did?
Orglis,
Wait a minute. Hold
Yeah.
on. Let me let me
which
see
is
this ladder.
Cruz's new team.
Yeah, I know.
And they play
What?
Nico.
Piece of cake one. Okay, I don't understand. So did
They-
they play
they
a
didn't
different
even play-
roster that time? Because when I was watching them play, they weren't playing the good players, pretty much.
They seem to
Nox,
sub a lot of people.
yeah, Nox, Leaf, Nico, Hardest. I don't know. A couple of those players are really good, and some of them are just I don't know much about them, and they also don't seem very good. So it's a weird roster, but it's pretty much just all the French players in Overwatch right now, besides the ones that are
And
in Overwatch League. So,
Bod.
yeah, I don't even know
Belgium?
why. You pick up some random kid. Those guys.
Apparently, the French are
That's
pretty
like-
good at this game.
Envy. It's like Envy CS:GO. They have all French team except one guy who's Belgium.
Wait, what a monk ass. Is that like I don't know.
Scream is from Belgium.
I see. So Eagle Gaming could still win the tournament. Nice. All right.
No, they.
No, they
well,
can't.
is it
There's a
double
losers
elimination?
bracket.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, they're in the bracket.
Yep. So anyway, I think
They
that
could
might
get it
actually
together.
be the end of the segment. We're approaching the max end for a segment, which is pretty monk ass. Talked for a
Pretty
while.
Poggers.
Actually, it's pretty poggers. Actually, you're right. Not a monk ass.
Yeah,
Not a monk
You can't
ass at
really
all.
complain about esports right now. It's a pretty good time
Yep.
to be a fan of Overwatch esports.
And we still
honestly.
have like 7 teams to see what happens with academy teams.
Academy.
Yeah, that you know,
That's- and, like,
I don't know. I was trying.
That's if every team decides to do an academy team. I don't even know if that's something that.
They've already announced which teams will have an academy team. Can't name them to you off the top of my head, but I know like Houston and Boston. Speaking of, there's rumors that Gregory goes to Boston Academy team, which would be PogChamp.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, yeah.
it'll be an interesting.
It could be
thing to look
Houston as
forward to.
well. I think it could be
Yeah,
Houston,
Houston.
Boston, or New York. That's my prediction. It's going to be one of those 3. Because New York makes sense. Korean, I don't know, just makes sense. And then you have Houston, which is in
Except
talks with
Flower.
Houston. And
Pretty sure
then
Flower's one of the ones that threatened her, but
no. Flower was I'm pretty sure Flower was one of the ones that didn't say anything about it. But
still monk ass.
yeah, still pretty monk ass. But yeah, it's yeah. Anyway, I think we can move on to the next section. We're gonna talk about
Yeah.
meta changes with PK. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, we're gonna put you in the
Always a
lobby now.
pleasure.
Of course, you're probably gonna be on next week. Expect that. So
Stay woke.
Stay woke. Hello, PK.
What up?
Welcome back.
Welcome
back.
back.
to the podcast.
Welcome back. It's been a
Be
couple
back.
weeks.
And we were gonna have you last week.
Yeah, and then I decided to sleep.
Feels bad, man.
Bad manners.
Yeah, really.
That's
don't.
alright.
It's kind of like the team we
So-
just scrimmed. Anyway, so meta changes, new patch.
New
know.
patch, new game. Am I
New-
right?
Yeah, it's pretty great. You got Moira, super bad hero, just kind of broken right now, but
Yeah. Uh, see, I think people were like, okay, without reses and stuff, team fights might be shorter. It's like, no, you basically just replaced lots of killing with instant reses with basically no killing at all because everything has infinite health.
I
pretty
mean,
annoying.
yeah. Moira can really like keep a team up, especially when you're running these like heavy hitting tank compositions that we're starting to see at like some of the levels of esports right now.
Yeah, and
It's trickling to
like-
the ladder too.
well, because it's so easy. I mean, it's basically. I mean, everybody here probably remembers Triple Tank. And one of the powerful things about the comp was that it was so it was just so plug and play. You just get the lineup going, you just run at them, and you win. It doesn't really, it doesn't take that much effort. And
It's the same thing
I
now,
think,
honestly.
yeah, well, it's not. It's even more potent. And there's two reasons why. I think the way you can counter it would be basically you have to have really awesome Ana and Zen players who are getting discords and anti grenades on the right target every time, which means that it can't be the Moira if she's used Fade. It can't be the Zarya if she has a bubble up. It's
Like you
it's
kind of
hard.
want to start with like the Roadhog or the main tank, and then work your way through the back line once you
It's
see
hard,
those.
man, because you need the counter comp would be those two healers specifically, and then some sort of ranged characters like Soldier and Junkrat, and then just have something that can survive the onslaught on point while your ranged characters do work. But that requires so much impeccable positioning and coordination compared to the quad tank where you just run at them and get on point and you just shoot whatever you want. It's kind of ridiculous. And the reason Triple Tank died off, it was twofold. One was they started nerfing Ana and some of the tanks, but a big part of it was that they buffed Winston, and D.Va was still good. So basically, you had this dive tank that could get in Ana's face and kill her and shut down her value and kill her quickly. And then once you cut off the source of healing for all the tanks, they're pretty easy to kill.
Yeah.
They can't
Kind of
really
destroys
punish
the whole purpose of the
DPS
meta.
characters.
But Moira is like
Most
80
of the
times harder to
tank
kill.
metas are because of healer characters and not because of the tank characters. Right
Yeah,
now, it feels like it's kind
exactly.
of because of Moira, and the last one was because of
Yeah,
mainly
and
Ana.
the difference is Moira is a borderline unkillable character. She has all the strengths of Ana in her big heals, without the weakness of awful mobility. I mean, she has that fade what is it 6 seconds?
I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a cleanse. So the anti grenade I was talking about in Discord disappear, and you can put a bubble on her after that. Defense matrix, you can make her unkillable compared to an Ana, which is if you put a Winston bubble in her face and defense matrix and stuff like that, you could kill her, and that was kind of one of the big reasons, and I think kind of an under explained reason why the original Triple Tank died. But now that you have a character that can not only escape really well, but can give her good healing value through Winston bubbles, it just makes it so much more powerful. And again, it's a coordination. It's the same thing as Triple Tank, because I think near the end of the Triple Tank meta, some teams were starting to figure out that you could run Widowmakers and long range characters basically that the tanks could not contest. But you had to play it at such a high level that one mistake and you fail, and it wasn't even for a lot of teams it wasn't worth running. So maybe in Overwatch League and super high levels of play they're gonna be able to pull it off, but I think at all the others, even really high up on the ladder, you're just gonna want to run a bunch of tanks. It's too easy.
Yeah. It's really unfortunate. I honestly think the Mercy meta was bad, but it was better than this.
At least you could
'Cause-
kill people in Mercy meta.
Yeah.
In fact, you got to kill
mean-
them more because they kept getting res.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in that way, it was pretty good.
Yeah, and
And
Mercy
I
could
don't know.
heal her entire team, but you could focus fire through the healing. You can't focus fire through this healing. I mean,
No,
unless you
really
get
though.
anti-grenade.
I mean, we saw variations of the comps in the pit championships over this last week. I mean, sure you have your quad tank with Lucio Moira, and then you have the teams that generally try to do something a little spicier. They'll run Moira Ana or Moira Zen, and then triple tank with Junkrat or triple tank with Reaper. And I really think that that's basically what it's going to come down to. Who leaves the spawn first with the right counter.
Yeah,
And who can pull it off with the right level of execution. I mean,
I'm telling you, best meta was right when Doomfist got released. That was the best meta this game has ever seen.
When he was completely
in my
broken,
opinion.
you think?
he wasn't broke. He was really annoying. He was a
But
good
like every
character.
team ran him because he was insane.
He was new, and like teams would have slowly transitioned to like, okay, we can counter him with certain tank comps like a Roadhog or a Zarya. Like he brought the power level of dive down because he controlled a lot of those characters.
I think the contenders meta was the best one we've had in a while as well. Like including the Doomfist. Just the entire contender season 1 meta was pretty great. There's a lot of Ren Zarya, a lot of
Yeah.
dive. I don't know. It seemed pretty good.
On the flat maps, you would run those Ren Zaryas, and like they weren't unkillable. They were just good. And then like you'd have dive on a lot of them, vertical maps. And Junkrat wasn't dumb, and Mercy was not as good as Anand's then. So, Moira wasn't out then. So, I guess the answer is pretty simple. You got to nerf Moira somehow. My recommendation would be not necessarily hit the healing too much. I think it's okay if you have a character that has good heals of like the main healer. Maybe
I mean, when you
maybe
think
bring
about
the
it,
cooldowns in line. Like I said,
you could
that main
probably
is so
still
powerful.
nerf her healing because right now she deals 80 per second main fire and then another 40 per second with her
Oh.
orb.
I'm pretty sure it's 50, isn't it? It's not as good as Mercy's. But
Oh yeah,
it's
50 and 30 with the orb, with a total of
Oh.
300 health pool in the orb. So she deals
With the
80
orb.
per second if she throws out her orb, and like that's really one of the things that kind of like, I mean, you want to be using the damage orb because that's what gives you ult charge, but like at the same time, when you really need to and you
Yeah.
have 4 tanks to heal, you can lay down some healing if you know what I mean.
Oh, for sure. And like I said, if you could kill her, you'd have the answer. Okay, the win condition is clear. Kill the Moira. But she's just too slow.
The hardest healer to kill, and
by far. Even harder than Lucio.
Yeah.
Lucio's pretty hard to kill, but like he doesn't do that much healing.
Yeah.
So you can like he's a low priority
and her
target.
hitbox is really weird. It's I don't know.
Yeah,
She
I mean,
strangely easy to hit with Roadhog, like for a hook and a combo, but she's like
the problem is like it's down to like who has less ping, the Moira or the Roadhog, because she can fade away after the hook. You know what I mean? Like I've
Yeah.
seen it so many times where like
Yeah.
you hook, you shoot, and you punch, and like when you go in for the punch, she's gone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you need team follow up. I mean, that's with like a lot of Roadhog targets. Like after they reworked him, it's like you need follow up, which can happen. But yeah, I think honestly, I think they might not even have to touch the healing if they made her more vulnerable and easier to kill, which I mean kind of sucks because like I like the idea because you basically I almost feel like what they were trying to do with Moira is basically make a Mercy analog that like people want to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like she actually does damage, and like I get it. Like Mercy is like a mobile character with consistent heals. All right, we'll do that for Moira, but the problem is like her value is too insane compared to her like relative to her mobility. That's how they balance these characters. Like Zen and Ana have like sick abilities, but they're just there. You can blow them up. Moira like has it all. So you either got to nerf her mobility, which I think would be the easier solution because like it'd be one ability, but then that would kind of ruin the whole point of the character of having this Mercy replacement. So I think probably just have to bring the other abilities in line and leave the Fate alone so that she could be slippery. That's my take on it.
It's really hard to say. I mean, like honestly, it's one of those things where like we can't even like really confirm the meta right now because we haven't seen like the highest levels of play take on the new patch. But I mean, if what we saw on Pit and what we're seeing right now on Ladder is any indication, I mean, at least 2 CP and Koth, like this is what we're going to be seeing a lot of. And I mean, arguably, like payload maps, King of the Hill, like there's still, I mean, payload maps and hybrid maps, like there's still a lot of different strats you can run.
Depends on the map. If it's flat, you're gonna run that meatball too. But like,
Yeah,
that's kind of the thing. Like, even in the Mercy meta, we saw a pretty decent amount of comp variety. But when you run this triple tank and quad tank, there's only so many tanks. So that's when you really run into a situation of, okay, this is the comp, which sucks because like this whole Overwatch like stage 1 split, you see a lot of. I mean, you see the Mercy like it's the difference between only having one character in every game and having like 4 to 5 in every game. Which I mean, you could say that like dive tanks and stuff too, but like you see the Orisa Hog and like Zarya and I don't know. I'm just really worried we're going back to season 3 and even less fun, even less fun than season 3.
I mean, it's fun to be a support player right now. It's not fun to be a DPS player who's forced to flex on a tank all the time, I would imagine.
I like
I don't
playing
know.
Hog, but I also like playing skillful heroes against skillful heroes. You know what I mean? Like I've
Well-
noticed in the last two scrims we've played, in the last few scrims we've played against, with the new patch, it's really hard to do anything because you can't play like Tracer, McCree, or Widow, especially Widow, against big tank comps. And then, it's just I don't know, it's just hard to play those things, and I enjoy playing those things. So I basically
Yeah,
have to flex on the tank or play a different DPS hero that I don't want to play.
Like
And
Junkrat or Reaper.
Pretty much.
and I'm an off tank player, and I play a lot of Diva, Hog, Zarya, and like one of the fun things about playing off tank is like figuring out like it's a very dynamic role. You have to figure out if you need to be doing damage on their front line or contesting a damage character that's off on their own, or like it's there's a lot of different things to do. Whereas like in this quad tank meta, you're not really the off tank. You're just like a character, and you're basically just like ramming into them like a scene in 300. Like you just run at them. It's like it's pretty brain dead. I mean, it's not brain dead. It's just like
It's a lot more brain dead than
it's
the other
it's
comps.
it's one dimensional. It's
Yep.
a one dimensional style of play. It's like you have to we have to focus shield or this target. It's like
It's just unfortunate that the game has this issue, because you think about it, and like, I mean, 2 weeks ago, before this patch was like released, I mean, when we would have this conversation, we'd be talking about how brain dead the Mercy meta is, and in terms of like, you can do something incredibly skillful, like get a headshot from across the map as Widow, but a Mercy that's like peeking the right corner can just like res it and completely remove all the effort that you put into like actually getting that kill, and how
playing on an
frustrated like all the DPS players would get because of like just the way that Mercy was too powerful. But
at least you
and
got
she
a
was.
kill. At least you
At
got a
least
kill.
at least you got to run the comps
It
you
was
want to
brain
run.
dead on an individual level, but on a team level, it was still very dynamic.
Mhm.
There were lots of different like win conditions. But and we were playing some scrims earlier, Rocky and we were playing against a team that wasn't running that meatball as much, and we weren't running it that much just because like we really hadn't messed with it a lot, and it was really fun. It reminded me of season 4, basic like again right when that Doomfist patch came out. We'd run the Moira you'd have a Moira every once in a while, like on a map where it's flat and you need consistent heals, but um we'd be running the Lucio Zan or maybe an Ana, but this whole run 4 tanks at him is going to be just
It's going to be unfortunate that we're going to see a lot of that, but I also like I said, like I don't think it's going to be every map that's just going to be the insta pick. Like I think that a lot of like 2-2-2 comps can stop that, like on the right map. Like you think about your Watchpoint Gibraltars and your Dorados, and like mostly every payload map but Junkertown is probably like a safe bet that you can't run that consistently against a decent 2-2-2 comp. But it's also like it's unfortunate, like also for the DPS players that are going to have to be like, all right, which one of us gets to play the skillful character and which one's going to play the Reaper?
yeah. Well, and even if it's not good on every map, I'm finding more and more that like I'm just thinking about these maps and go through them in my head. Like it's a big percentage. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
And
it's not like it's dive versus death ball where like the dive comp and the death ball have like different pieces you can mix and match. It's like
there's only
it's
6
like
tanks in the game.
there's there's like the meatball comp, and then like every other like that makes up 60%, and then like every other combination.
Let's face it, man. Like as interesting or as stale as you want to call this current meta, I mean, we want builder meta.
No, no, not really, man.
I mean,
Honestly, not really.
Yeah, no. We need builder meta.
The trick is it's such an easy counter, like to just swap to like Afara.
No, I know.
That's the other thing too. Is like that's the other reason the comp is so good, because like if you run a comp specifically to counter it, all they have to do is swap out one of their tanks. It's not like they have to. They don't. It's not even like they give it that much ult economy. So, okay, we'll just drop our Roadhog or something. But meanwhile, our Zarya's already built up a grab. Like
No, but
it's just too easy
we're
to
one
transition to a
Symmetra
different comp.
rework and like Hero 27 being like the builder tank that people rumored. You know, if those are the
Alright.
yeah, it's kind of like half Zarya, half Symmetra, half stupid.
That
Anyways,
sounds pretty
See,
good.
the
Yeah,
trouble
it's
with
great.
Builder though is again you can only play it on defense, which kind of makes a one trick.
Are you sure about that? Because I've seen some players that seem to think otherwise. And, you know, Trouser Snake, thank you for being banned. What a sim one trick. But if people will one trick Torb and Symmetra on
I've
attack,
already gone off on that subject. I think in a previous podcast how I feel about those people. So
if
yeah,
there's a
feels-
builder
feels
tank,
sim one trick, man.
wouldn't it make Sim and Torb viable on attack, possibly?
I mean, it all depends because if the tank works the way that they say it works, which would be that like you would target like a player to project like a stationary barrier for that, like not like Orissa's. Think of more like Bastion's like beta turret mode shield. So if you could put that on a sim while the sim goes in, even if it's just like for a certain amount of health or time.
it's basically like a Zarya bubble, but it's a barrier rather than special
Yeah,
power.
it's like a shield, and but this is the thing. Like, you know, I'm pulling this information from like a number of different theories that don't actually add up to anything conclusive. It's more like there was a 4chan leak that said a bunch of stuff that seems relatively credible, and then on top of that, I mean, there's that whole like voice actor propaganda that's going around right now, where it seems like they casted a voice actor who's basically a native English speaker, but also from India. And then the theories from like the Moira comics that where you consistently see like all these talent meetings, Sanjay from the Vishkar Corporation, and then you have like all of these things tie into like, okay, well if Vishkar is like the hard light people, and like Symmetra is a builder from Vishkar, and like the new hero would probably be a defensive hero or a tank. Like you start to like think, okay, well we're getting another builder, guys.
Yeah,
And then they can't. Then
I
there's
really
the rumor
hope
that
not.
that voice
Let's-
actor got cast.
Can we get
I
like a
mean-
super skill required hero that's completely broken? Because that'd be interesting. Because all the
You mean
heroes
like
that have been
Ana?
broken in the past haven't been broken. Or all the heroes that have been broken haven't been that skill required. You know, like
Ana took Ana
Ana
didn't
took a
take
little bit of
when
skill,
there's
but not a lot in tank meta where you just have to
Alice
hit tanks.
started. Yeah,
And then like
Yeah.
Mercy obviously doesn't take a lot of skill. Doomfist took a lot of skill, but the way that he was being played at the time when he was OP, I don't think took that much skill.
well, I mean,
I
you
don't
would
know.
just wait around. You would just corner camp and then punch
Pretty
someone.
much. Yeah. So if they
Like,
could make a
there-
hero
there's
that
chips bounce off a wall and like kill a Pharah, and then there's like
if they could
I
make
can
a
punch
hero
tanks.
that if you're good enough, if you're at a top 100 to GM level, you can pull it off and it's completely broken. But if you're like at a plat level, you can play it, but it won't be broken. Like the skill
like Genji.
and the Genji isn't really like that because Genji is sort of like that, but his cap isn't completely broken.
Yeah.
No, he's balanced in terms of the fact that plat players can play him, and like he's still effective at plat. But
Yeah,
then like
I think we
he's
should have
not
one that's.
broken,
What if
and-
we had a hero that actually wasn't effective at low ranks, but it was like completely effective at high ranks? That'd be interesting too.
That would
Widowmaker?
basically be. That would be It's basically Widowmaker. Like Or
You give a
Hanzo.
bronze
I-
player
I
Widowmaker
don't
and
know.
tell them to.
I've seen low ranked Widowmakers that actually work because they can play at the low rank at least.
people like their targets like stand still.
Yeah, I mean, if your target's standstill and you can sometimes kill those people, then you can play Widowmaker at bronze level. At plat level, if you can sometimes get picks before a fight, then you're a plat level Widowmaker.
I mean, I don't mind if characters are like get consistent value. I like just thinking of it as like consistent value or like high spikes of inconsistent value. But like you don't want it to enable a one-dimensional playstyle like we have now. Like even though Mercy meta, was like sucked because like you'd get killed and they would come back and blah blah blah. And Mercy is a pretty easy character to play, relatively speaking. Like it enabled a lot of it enabled the game to be very skill based, like for the other 5 players on your team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 1 in 6 players were stuck on the only hero that was playable, and then like the other 5 could basically just be like
Had a great time.
Yeah, and like that's okay, like
And now it's the opposite. It's basically one or two players, or the Moira player basically has a great time, and then everybody else has a shitty awful time.
but we say that now because it's in the early days. Like in the early days of the Mercy meta, like I mean, I looked at Mercy as a hero. Like I was like, I never played this hero. You know what I mean? Like I had like 4 hours on her when Mercy got like reworked. I literally just wasn't interested in playing her at all. And then like I pick her up and I'm like, oh wow, she's like actually really powerful and super relevant. So I'm gonna play her a lot. Now she's like my most played hero because of that meta.
It's just bad, dude.
Yeah,
It
Well,
really
the game-
does, but
the game
it
around
didn't
it's
start
really
off
fun.
like with like loathing of the character, but like yeah, after like 80 hours, you're just like, dude, okay, you know what? This hero was fun, like when I started, but
So
the
what, you're
fact that
saying
you
Moira's gonna be the same way? It's like
maybe, I mean, like she's got a more interactive game style in terms of like actually being able to like get kills and do things, but at the same time, if you consider the fact that like if she's literally going to be like the main support, like the one that you have to play all the time. Which I don't think she will be because like we've already pulled off like Lucio Ana several times without like with like similar triple tank comps and stuff and no issues. But yeah, obviously like having the Moira is just gonna like solidify that big chunky meatball comp. But like
and
I don't think she'll be like 100% necessary. But still, it's gonna be like the prevailing thing. Like if triple and quad tank becomes a thing, you're pretty much gonna need a Moira or at least an Ana, but more than likely still better to have the Moira every game.
yeah, well, because the Honest still gets like I said, the Honest can still be easily shut down by a good Winston and Diva diving on her and negating her value. But like then again, most people don't know that. They just think like, oh, okay, quad. Like people like at lower ranks have a habit of like taking bits and pieces of what they hear and like putting them together. So like they might they might say okay quad tank and then like nobody picks Honor or Moira or something, or they don't pick the Lucio and then it's just they're slow as dirt and like
Mercy
critical
Zen quad tank, guys.
yeah, or they don't know how to or they and then like the other team just is oh man quad tank's OP. There's no way we can counter it. But like if they have the Ana, then you can counter it with the dive tanks. But they don't know that because it's not as talked about or straightforward.
The day I play against that ladder, I'll be thrilled. I'll tell you that.
What?
Yeah, that'd be an interesting.
Quad tank Zen Mercy.
Old school.
I'd be like, PogChamp, okay, well, we're gonna play Ana and Moira, and we're gonna do the same thing, and we're just gonna win because these kids are bad.
Dude, maybe Zen Mercy like well no, it's not the answer because they were running because basically I was gonna say like the damage boost maybe for Mercy because like that was another thing too like we were trying to run the Junkrat in our scrims with an Ana Zen and
I mean, he's still
we
incredibly
didn't
powerful.
play it yeah we didn't play it optimally but like you do miss out like the fact that like the damage boost isn't there is huge for shield break and stuff. That's one of the reasons Ryan can be good now. And then obviously the super healing.
I mean, like, yeah, Mercy is like heal on a stick, right? But like, you got to think like healing per second wise, like Moira's still gonna beat her, and like you can still play the Junkrat. You just have to play him a little bit differently. But if you're running like triple tank with a Roadhog, that's definitely gonna be better than having like the damage boost
Yeah.
from the Mercy.
Well-
You will win the shield war.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, because here's the thing too with Junkrat. It's like, okay, yeah, he does all this damage right against all these tanks, but like he can't confirm kills. And if you don't confirm that kill in the 4 seconds that the tank is antied, then he's back to 600 health.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, so I'm even starting to wonder if Junkrat is the best answer. Maybe it is the Reaper. 'Cause he does have better potential.
That's mainly the reason why like I was reading about Reaper being, probably one of the higher picked heroes already this week, like in terms of like just increase in pick rates. Like
Mhm.
Mercy's down by a ridiculous amount,
Yeah,
and like
she's down.
Reaper is up by not like a large amount, but like by enough to like note it.
Yeah, I think that's something I gotta work more because like he and another reason why he's good is he combos really well with Moira because he's like a tank almost like he can just sit there and be fat and just
Yeah, he doesn't need
damage.
too much healing because he has his passive.
Yeah, and the Moira can just throw a ball at him and then he can just get away as long as he avoids like getting hooked.
And he can get into sticky situations and get out with shift, or put himself into really awkward flanking positions by like teleporting and then
I think
fading
he's one
out.
of the best characters for killing Moira because like she has that weird hitbox that's like it's like tall, but it's like still kind of easy to hit. Like
Yeah, oddly enough, a Roadhog one shots her, but
yeah, because she's so tall, it's weird. But like it's hard for Tracer to kill. Like okay, Reaper. I think a reason he's picked a lot in lower ranks Reaper is because he's like a low skill Tracer because they're kind of similar, right? They're up close. They're up close spread weapon characters with an escape, but just Reaper's much more all in, and Tracer can be a lot more dynamic. But it's a lot harder for her to kill that Moira because like she can heal herself. She has the auto lock gun that heals her. It's a hard matchup.
not only that, but damage
like-
output wise, like she's just less effective against tanks. Like Reaper can just melt tanks.
Yeah.
While
Oh no, I
stealing.
agree. I'm just talking about like against the Moira though, because it's like
Oh, yeah.
that kind of goes back to what we were talking about before of like okay, you cut off the healing source, but like Tracer's not. It's hard for Tracer and Genji for that matter to like fuck with her. Whereas Reaper, it's like she has that weird big like tall hitbox, so like the shotguns can do well, and he has the extra beefy health, so her low aim or her low damage auto aim gun.
Yeah, you're like fighting
in
self heal passive with self heal passive, so it's just kind of like whoever can deal more damage is going to win out.
Yeah, which is Reaper every time.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, he's probably not a bad option if you're trying to counter like that kind of a comp. Like, I mean, we did see it like a lot in the Pit Championship, like especially teams that were like not favored to win running triple tank Reaper and like actually winning against quad tank on Koth.
what tank did they drop? The Roadhog? They kind of fit the same role. But...
There was two. I watched two teams do it. One dropped the Roadhog, one dropped the Zarya. Both worked really well. It's just one of those things where it's like I think the Reaper just adds so much to that comp. But I mean, it all depends on what you want. Because if you drop the Roadhog, you have like the Grav Reaper combo, which I think is like obviously one of the more powerful things you could do with that comp. And plus, the Zarya bubble on the Reaper can sometimes just secure extra kills by keeping him alive a little bit longer and letting him top himself back up. But then again, the Hog also has that added value of like a good Hog will get the hook on the Moira, and
I would actually drop the Hog every time. Now that I think about it, because like I forget. Do we talk? I don't know if we talked about. No, we didn't talk about it in this podcast. Rocky never talked about it in Scrim because we were running Orisa Roadhog against that quad tank. It's like, yeah, we do the hook combo, but like they would just have bubbles and defense matrices. So like the Roadhog's hook value would be severely negated.
Yeah, it's like we're gonna hook, but like we're basically just gonna pull them closer. We're giving them a movement buff, guys.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. Like they're in closer, and the likelihood that you're gonna actually get the Moira in between all of her big tank all the other beefy targets is low. And they kind of fill the same role. I mean, you could argue that maybe that's a reason why you keep the Roadhog over the Zarya, because to like double up. But if the fight takes a long time, and it will, because no one's gonna die, that Zarya is gonna get charged decently fast, which means she's gonna have really scary damage up close. So
yeah, no, I think that like what we're seeing right now is definitely like a trend towards like season 3 meta, but like. With a few changes.
Reaper being good. Yeah, like
Reaper and Moira, and like because Reaper really wasn't that good before. But I mean, one of the things that I'm really interested to see how this affects like the game in general is like how the comp ladder experience is going to change because of this. And with that in mind, I think we're going to transition to our next segment.
Let's go. All right, thank you for being here, PK.
Hey, no problem. Anytime.
All right, yeah, thanks again.
We're gonna pull.
We're doing something different this week. Yeah. We're going to bring in some people, and we want to talk about generally like people who have had a poor experience on the ladder. And see like what they believe would help fix that the problems with ladder.
So we're gonna bring in Strick out. Welcome, Strick out. Welcome to the podcast. We're gonna do each section's gonna be about 5 to 10 minutes, and yeah, we're gonna start. So it's about comp, ladder experiences. Do you have any specific like example of something that happened in comp and an issue?
Anything specific from this season specifically?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about this season like even after the patch, like anything at all.
Well, after the patch, I gladly started seeing a lot less mercy, which makes me very happy as a DPS player. My kills stay dead.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I can understand that feeling. But at the same time, like, are you concerned being a DPS player that like some of the heroes you're going to be playing or have been playing aren't going to be viable because of this like tank heavy meta we're moving into?
Well, the tank meta is definitely something that myself as a DPS player I'm going to be concerned about, but I'm not a one trick DPS. I can flex to tank whenever it's necessary, but
Yeah, I mean, I've seen you on Roadhog, Diva, Zarya, like just about everything. So I mean, you're not like super concerned, but at the same time, like it's probably going to be unfortunate you're not really going to be able to play your like favorite role most of the time.
yeah, for sure. Just after the patch, the last what is it, week or so?
Mhm.
Not even. Like I've racked up like 2 hours on Diva, just
Yeah,
from grinding ladder.
and like that's understandable. We're going to see those changes. But have you had any experiences since the patch that like you can honestly say like could constitute a huge problem on the ladder?
Maybe like toxicity or anything.
One tricking.
Yeah, that can.
What I'm seeing a lot is people flaming Mercy. Anyone that picks Mercy is getting flamed because Mercy's not meta anymore. Like,
Yeah.
Mercy got nerfed, but she's not necessarily bad.
Yeah, Mercy is actually very good sometimes with a Widow and Pharah specifically.
Yeah,
Like any comp that needs to play split up,
Pretty much.
she's still like a super mobile support hero that can like heal a lot of different targets in a lot of areas of the map like simultaneously. And Guardian Angel, although it's like not Guardian Angel but Valkyrie, even though it's been nerfed into the floor, I still don't think it's the worst support ultimate in the game. Like, well, arguably that's, you know, there's a case to be made for that, but it's still not a bad support ultimate. Like, it can still heal and damage boost quite a bit.
Valkyrie is kind of turned into a mini nano boost for your entire team.
Yeah, kind of like Orisa
yeah.
Bongo.
Yeah.
With healing.
It's pretty much just Orisa Bongo and gives her some more survivability.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not that good. I think it's still better than Moira's ultimate, mostly because Moira's ultimate charges faster. But they're really close, and you know they're both the weakest support ultimates easily.
Yeah, Moira's ultimate's more of like an ability on cooldown. When you like play her with tank heavy compositions, you get it so quickly and you use it so often that like you can pretty much just afford to press Q every time you have it.
Yeah, and moving on back to like toxicity towards some Mercy players, do you think there's any way to fix that, or is it something we just have to deal with for a couple of weeks?
I think it's something that it's gonna happen because the Overwatch community is toxic, but like
Ooh.
what I've seen a lot from the community is we're very meta focused. Like, if it's not meta, you don't play it. That's what I see a lot, especially on the ladder. Like, I even see it in quick play, which is weird, but not talking about quick play.
But yeah, I mean, we're gonna have those problems for a little while, I guess, and hopefully it gets ironed out. Like maybe it's gonna take like stage 2 of Overwatch League or like even some more of the upcoming tier 2 tournaments to like change that, where we might see a Mercy come out once in a while with like special comps.
Yeah, for sure. I think if in Overwatch League they never run Mercy, that toxicity will sort of stay there. But if they run Mercy, even like
Sometimes.
once a match, then that toxicity will easily go away, and people will consider it meta because of Overwatch League player split, pretty much.
Yeah.
And also,
Well,
you gotta
I
remember that
think
before
Pharah-
the Mercy buff, Mercy was played all the time on ladder. Even though she wasn't played all the time in the pro scene, there was tons of Mercy one tricks and Mercy mains still in ladder. So I don't know. We'll see.
It's one of those things like
But people think
have to,
that
like,
she's extremely bad now when she is at the same level she was before the buff, or slightly better. Maybe slightly worse, but still not enough to say she's a completely broken pick that's just bad.
I think she's better than the big res days, but like at the same time,
I think
like
that was huge for ladder, because ultimates and stuff like that aren't coordinated as much in ladder, so it makes it a lot easier to affect the game more with the huge res. Which might have been why
yeah,
she's played more.
you're not wrong. Like
Yeah.
that Mercy player that could consistently get off the 5-man res could easily climb, whereas like the one that was like wasting it on 2-man reses would like get flamed by her team and like just consistently just want to die.
Pretty much.
That's why I only had 4 hours on Mercy prior to the rework. But yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to wait and see. Like Overwatch League presence could change the level of toxicity towards Mercy. I don't think that she's an unplayable character, but like still, I mean, at the end of the day, like anybody who's sitting down and going to a comp game with a 2-2-2 comp should be happy. Because I mean,
yeah, pretty much. I mean, in ladder, 2-2-2 is winnable game, always winnable.
yeah, really. Like I mean, I've seen like games with 2 off tanks, like Hanzo,
People
Widow,
play out
and like 2
off tanks all the
supports.
time. It's always winnable, even with
Yeah.
those kind of comps. I mean, I would argue having an off tank and a main tank increases your chance of winning, but I don't know. You've even seen like New York and Overwatch League run D.Va and Roadhog, so who knows? Anything can happen. It's not completely black and white, especially when it comes to ladder. But anyway, thank you for being here, Strick. I think we're gonna pull in Roku.
Alright.
But yeah, thank you. Hello, Roku. Welcome to the podcast. Today, did you have any like experiences that have happened this season, or maybe even last season, in the comp ladder that you want to talk about?
Not really. Nothing really notable that I'd like to mention.
Like, is there any like particularly negative like reactions that you've received since the patch towards like maybe choosing Mercy in a comp game?
I've had people tell me a lot of obscene things.
Yeah, really though. I mean, you're not wrong. I've actually seen it, like especially like the day of the nerf, where like someone will come in and insta-lock Mercy, and then like immediately a teammate's just like, "Don't do it."
See,
Don't.
I can't talk about the beginning of the nerf. I stayed away from comp for that entire week, pretty sure.
Okay, but I mean, for the most part, like any games like you've encountered with like multiple Mercy one tricks yet?
Oh yeah. Even in the past couple of days, I've been queuing pretty late at night, which I'm aware isn't the best decision in the world, but I've been on teams with 4 Mercy mains, on the regular. It's not a rare thing for me to see at all.
But at least you're a flexible enough player that you can like step down and say like, "I'll play D.Va" or something.
Yeah, or what's even worse is when all of the 4 Mercy mains decide I'm not going to play Mercy, and then you're stuck with 3 Mercy mains on DPS, and it's a mess.
Yeah, you can try and
Those are plat problems and gold problems.
They are
Yeah.
plat and gold problems. I am a
Yeah.
plat and gold player, unfortunately.
Feels bad, but there's still a lot of people in there. That's like the average SR, so the experience there shouldn't be bad just because you're at that skill rank. I think it should still be a good experience for everyone at every rank, besides bronze. If you're in bronze, you're bad at the game. Please don't install.
yeah, that's arguable. Honestly, like I don't agree that like it's impossible to be good at the game and be stuck in bronze, but like elo hell is real. Like I don't care what anyone says about it.
Not. I think it's real to some extent, but it's not like it's not completely real. There was a silver game I played. This isn't even a bronze game. I actually just spawn camped them unfair. They'd walk out of spawn and I'd kill them the entire game. It was just, and this is when I was like a low masters player, and I'm a lot better now. So if I could do that then most people should be able to at least get out of silver. You don't have to spawn camp the enemy team to win a game. So if I could do that, it's not that hard. If you're good enough, you'll get out of silver. You'll get out of bronze. But I don't know. I think there's a certain point at like plat or diamond where some teammates actually just throw the game, unknowingly or knowingly, and that's where it
like
sort of
most of
gold.
exists. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely most of gold. I mean, like basically, I took my account, my alt account, and I did a lot of like, let's just say like meme comp games where I just like tried to make heroes that wouldn't work. Some might call it throwing, others might call it one tricking, but I wasn't really one tricking. I just wanted to play Mei, see where I would like.
Yeah,
land
your
up on
Mei
the ladder.
is honestly at least a plat level, so you're not throwing the game,
Yeah.
in my opinion. As long as you're not jumping off
but-
the edge, you're trying. And
It's like
I don't know.
by choosing some of these heroes, what I find is that like you'll occasionally get people who just like will throw because you're
especially
playing
at
them.
low ranks. Yeah.
Yeah, like
when
in
I was
gold, like
lower, it's people hate off meta picks immediately. And if you play Widow, they'll be suspicious of you immediately. And I don't know,
Yeah.
it's kind of unfortunate because
if
like
you-
at a
you
higher
play
ranks,
Mei, you'll
they'll
have
just
like
let you
your
play
main
whatever.
tank switch to Doomfist and like consistently just get 'em
yeah,
off the map.
pretty much that actually happens. But at a higher rank, if you play Mei, it'll be either because it's a good situation, or because you're a good player, or because you're throwing. But if you're throwing, nobody will accuse you for throwing until you actually are obviously throwing. And
Yeah.
that's, I don't know.
And like genuinely, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like it's kind of upsetting being in like the gold plat range with like an account and having to deal with that stuff, even though like I'm gonna pick this hero and I'm genuinely gonna do well or do my best to like try and win the game. And
It's
like,
frustrating.
but yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where like we're seeing a change in meta right now. I mean, supports, which is primarily what you play, like hopefully will become universally acceptable because, like I said earlier, like any 2-2-2 comp is like ideal in comp right now, and like honestly, no one should complain about having a Mercy or like a Lucio or like a Zen or anything. It's just
I've-
like if you have 2 supports, like thank the gods.
I've
Pretty much,
had
yeah.
people complain about Lucio picks recently. Mercy's still considered more powerful than him, I guess.
I mean,
not true
realistically,
at all.
like I
Lucio's
think
better
about
than
a lot of it
Mercy
is
right now.
is like people in like gold or like people who are like in low plat who have like maybe like fallen 100 or so SR. They see someone with like a lot of hours on Mercy, right? And then like you pick Lucio, and then they're instantly like concerned.
They're
that you chose
instantly, yeah.
something that you haven't played in like 2 seasons.
Even though my career profile will obviously show that I have played some, Lucio's and whatever this season, but they'll still
be like, oh, you have like 10 to 15 hours on Mercy, like you need to play Mercy because it's the only hero you can play properly, and like in their mind, like by not picking Mercy, they believe that you're throwing, and like that's just sort of like that the mentality right now that's at that level, which is unfortunate because like it shouldn't always be that way. I mean, honestly, like there are some players that probably are throwing by not like picking Mercy, but
see, the reason I
most
can't
aren't.
think of one singular example, like a single game, I can't really point out one experience because they're almost all like that. It's always been the same issue. It's just
Yeah, plat and gold pretty much.
it's
unlucky, but-
nasty.
All right, thank you for being here. We're gonna bring in Chris.
Yeah, Chris has an interesting story about how
Yep.
he was mid diamond on the road to Masters. Yeah, you can turn off the podcast, Chris. You're on it now.
Yeah.
You can listen live.
I'm good. I'm good.
Hog champ.
All right, good job.
So, like I was saying, Chris has an interesting story to tell us because you were mid diamond. I wouldn't say one trick Mercy, but mainly playing support, playing a lot of Mercy. And then as soon as the nerfs rolled in, I'm not sure exactly what happened in your comp games, but based on what you messaged me, it sounded pretty infuriating. But because of like throwers and people who genuinely just weren't interested in playing around you, you dropped back into plat. Now you're back in diamond today, so you're doing better. But
Can we all like get a pog champ in chat for Chris? He got back. He got back to diamond. I'm actually gonna clap right now. Like, good job, man. You went back to diamond. I'm proud of you, man. Like, you did great. All right. Like, I'm proud of you. I got back into GM recently, and I know the feel. It's pretty great, man. And good job. So, how do you feel? What do you think the reasoning was mainly for falling back into plat? Briefly, Chris.
like we want to hear about the
It
toxicity.
was definitely when the Raptor Mercy nerf hit because I was so used to playing her due to the fact that it was the meta, and people would tell me I was a Mercy main from season 5. Even before I started with before her rework, I played her a lot. They were like, "Okay, you must be a good Mercy." Like, immediately I kept getting dived on and then dived on. I kept calling out like, all like, "Oh, Diva on me, Trisha in the back." No one, not even they were talking mid diamond or say. No one turned around to help the supports at all. Even on one game, my support players, it was just me and her. Me and her were just protecting each other. Like no one else was helping the support.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but what I want to ask is, it sounds like this is something that was different. And if Mercy was meta before, what was different that made these players not protect you as much as they did before in the past? What do you think it was? You think it was just unlucky? Do you think it was just like unlucky streak of games where teammates were just not protecting you, or was there something more there?
It's kind of both, to be quite honest, because they were not bad, and like they were getting the picks and everything, but it's just that once they got the picks, they got over after the next team fight, they got overconfident and then just immediately gets crushed immediately, and I can't go in there due to the fact that one game like it was a Roadhog, he was overconfident. He's like, yeah, I got a triple kill, let's go. He was the only one up there for like we were on King's Row, and he was the only one up there on point B. Well, around the corner, and it was like me, Ryan, Diva, and Lucio were all behind. So it was kind of hard to get him.
Yeah, I
It's
think
like,
that's
we're all
another one of
beefing.
those things, like I was saying, like plat and gold games, except this time it's like diamond games. People are just
Yeah.
bad in those ranks, and you still deserve to have good games, but one of the things I guess you have to deal with in those ranks is just having players that are bad, and you have to
I
I
respect
mean, and
games,
honestly,
bad
like
game
with like
sense.
the shift in meta, I think a lot of
That
players
too.
that used to play a lot of like Reinhardt and Roadhog, like heroes that aren't necessarily like as good at peeling for the supports as like let's say like Winston and Diva or like Zarya or anything like that. The people who are just like taking this like meta shift as like a warrant to play heroes that are just less good with the hero that you're playing, are playing those heroes and
Probably
like
just
you know
confusion-
putting less
confusion and-
emphasis on you since like you as a newly nerfed into the floor hero are a lot less relevant to the game. Whereas before, essentially, like if your Mercy's alive, you're winning.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I mean, it's unfortunate that you had those games. What do you think that could be changed with Overwatch to like maybe promote a healthier environment?
Less toxic. Be more friendly. Like, give positive mental attitude. The PMAs, I should say. Like, always compliment your team. Like, if they get a pick, say, good job, keep it up. Just keep going on that. And most of the time, when I do that, my team's always happy. We're not complaining, and we mostly win our games.
Yeah.
You know, positivity,
you're
like
not wrong.
positivity goes a long way. You know, it's a good thing to have. I've had multiple games where the team just works well together. They're being positive sometimes. Sometimes they're just working well together, and those games are probably the best games you play. And the good shot callers help a lot too. There was one game I had where we were actually carried by a shot caller. I think he's a Smurf, and he might actually be a pro player. I'm not sure, but he was actually legendary, making perfect calls. He was just like nobody else talked because nobody had to talk. He just did everything, and he actually carried them that way. And I haven't had an experience like that, so I don't know.
I
If
actually
you're,
had experience like that
yeah,
because I was the shot caller for one of my games. It was
nice.
actually King's Row again. We were running a Bastion. I was like, okay, this is fine. I can easily just help out. I kept calling out, oh, Bastion, behind you. Very thought that, oh, immediately moves. Just as rain, so it's like, and then after like 5 seconds later, it's like Bastion just calls out. It was a girl, by the way. She's like,
So a combination of you having a good field of view,
Good field-
with,
good field of view.
alerting a
Due to the
teammate
fact-
with a good reaction time.
in fact, when I saw her, I was like, I thought like, why is she going behind us? Oh, my fault. But also, it was also when I called out. I kept calling out ultimates too, and they kept going right on time. And I said also when I called out Tracer and Soldier, surprisingly Soldier went behind us. I don't know why. And I called out Soldier behind us, but 2 of the teammates fall back to help me, and just kept.
that's
Like,
pretty
no one else-
legendary. Those games
no
are
one
good.
else talked.
Those games are good.
Like,
In Diamond, I can honestly say like it's nice that you're having games like that because in general, I generally don't have those games. In fact, it's gotten to such a point where like I'm having such a bad time queuing as a duo or a trio or alone in Diamond that I pretty much have given up on playing on my main account unless we're playing in a 6-stack.
oh yeah,
But-
I know that. I really played with you a lot.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that to actually enjoy the game in a competitive environment, you actually have to get together with 5 other people and like queue and and actually like not only take like the detrimental SR losses if you lose a game as a 6-stack, which trust me they're not as good as like duoing or trioing. You will climb faster if you're
definitely.
like a successful duo or trio, but it just every time I've tried this season it hasn't happened.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And like like at least in a 6-stack, like you're playing with your friends, it's a lot easier to be positive. Shot calling's a lot more linear because like people just know each other's play styles, can converse a lot like easier. We know when to stop playing. Like, it's just a better experience overall. And like honestly, like I think one of the things that could probably like fix the experiences that you're having and the experiences that I've been having in comp in Diamond would probably be like some sort of like role queue system.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, that might fix a lot of things. I mean, sure, like some players will have to wait a little bit longer, but I mean, hey, at the point where you're already having to 6-stack to have fun, you're pretty much waiting 5 to 7 minutes for a game, anyways.
Yeah. Speaking about that toxicity, like since I started Overwatch Season 4, everybody knew, even you and Rocky. You guys know I first started out season 4 bronze, and now it's season 8 and I'm diamond. I experienced every single toxicity in every single elo. The most toxic elo I saw going up to diamond was actually beginning gold.
Yeah.
It was so toxic. I was surprised I even got out of it because how many throwers there were.
I believe it, and I actually have a theory behind why that is. Because you have a mix of like mid to high gold and low plat players that have like recently fell to like, let's say, the 2000 to 2200 region, and then you also have a mix of like gold player or silver players that just recently like got into gold and now think that they are god amongst men. And just like the positioning of like these two sort of like groups of people mixed with like also like the players who naturally are just like around that elo because they're, you know, that's where they're supposed to be.
Again, like I've said, it's just
creates
gold
like
problems.
this. Yeah, it's like a bubbling pot of like.
Yeah. What a bad rank. What bad ranks. Everything below Master is bad, and even Master and Grandmaster has problems. So I don't know. It's just unlucky. I think they need to make a lot of changes that will affect all ranks, and not just like a change that will affect one rank. They need to fix the entire thing. Ban more people. Ban one tricks. Let's get a hashtag ban one tricks going and trending on Twitter. Thank you. That's a good way to end the episode.
I'm gonna go on Twitter like right now and do that.
Chris.
Yep.
You did
no
good.
problem.
We'll see you in the next.
Hashtag barely keeping diamond.
All right. So.
What a legend! What an absolute legend! He's still trying, you know.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, what a guy.
And you know what? Like, I don't blame him for trying because it's worth it. And like,
it's worth it, guys. It's worth. Like, if there's any message you learn from this podcast, it's it's always worth it. Keep on learning.
PMA.
Don't kill yourself. Suicide hotline is something. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see.
You know.
We'll see you on the Nexus. We're gonna go ahead and
New
end the
ending
podcast
theme.
here. New ending theme. Get
Stay
ready,
woke.
boys. Yeah, stay woke.
Mercy main, mercy main, mercy main, mercy main, mercy main, mercy main, mercy main. I one trick with no shame. I play mercy cause I can't aim. Ooh, could've win symmetry, but it's not the same. I be carrying my team like every game. Made it top 100, hope I don't decay. Mercy main, mercy main, mercy main. Mercy main, mercy main, mercy main, mercy main, mercy main, mercy main, mercy main. I one trick with no shame. I play mercy cause I can't aim. Ooh, could've win symmetry, but it's not the same. I be carrying my team like every game. Made it top 100, hope I don't decay. Mercy main, mercy main.